In League of Legends, there are a massive amount of items. This video goes over all the ability power mythic items and when you should consider buying them. The mythic item choices can be divided between Lost Chapter items and non-Lost Chapter items. For Lost Chapter mythics, we have Crown, Everfrost, Liandry's, and Ludens, all of which grant ability power, ability haste, and mana. Crown also grants health and has a passive where if you don't take damage for a chunk of time, you become safeguarded. When safeguarded, the first time you're damaged by an enemy champion, you take 75% reduced damage for the next 1.5 seconds. In addition, while safeguarded, you also gain a large chunk of ability power which lasts for 3 seconds after it ending, and has a mythic passive where you get more movement speed and ability power. You should consider buying this item if you want to be incredibly defensive, as it massively increases your chance of surviving, especially against some champions that rely on burst. Everfrost also grants health and gives you a unique active which allows you to damage enemies in a cone in front of you. In addition to damage, all enemies hit by this are slowed, and if they're in the center of the cone, they're rooted instead, and has a mythic passive which grants you more ability power. You should consider this if you want more CC, and is particularly good on champions with unreliable CC like Ahri and Veigar, as starting with Everfrost makes it far easier to land your charm or cage. Liandry's has a passive where upon dealing ability damage, you cause the target to burn for damage over 4 seconds. This damage not only scales with your AP, but also the target's maximum health. In addition, it has a second passive where you deal additional damage based on your opponent's bonus health, with a mythic passive that grants you ability haste. You should consider this item if you're against lots of tanks, or if you're easily able to apply the burn passive multiple times. And finally, we have Ludens, which grants magic penetration. In addition, it has a passive where upon dealing ability damage to an enemy, it causes 3 orbs to bounce around to other enemies too, dealing more damage, while granting you additional movement speed, with a mythic passive which grants you additional ability penetration. You should consider this item if you're looking to do massive damage to squishier targets with insane magic pen. For other AP mythic items, we have Rocket Belt, Night Harvester, and Riftmaker, all of which grant ability power, ability haste, and health. These items are commonly built on champions that don't need the additional mana that the Lost Chapter items grant. Firstly, we have Rocket Belt, which also grants magic pen. It has an active which gives you a small dash in a direction which fires out missiles which deal additional damage. And in addition, after using this active, you gain bonus movement speed while moving towards an enemy. And as a fun bonus mechanic, it also works as an auto attack reset, with a mythic passive that grants magic pen. You should consider this on any champion that's looking to burst out their enemies while needing the extra mobility. Next, we have Night Harvester, which has a passive where upon damaging an enemy champion you deal bonus damage and also are granted a large amount of bonus movement speed, with a mythic passive that grants ability haste. You should consider this on any champion that wants to do a large amount of additional damage while needing the bonus movement speed. And next we have Riftmaker, which also grants Omnivamp, and has a unique passive where for each second during combat you deal 3% increased damage, stacking up to 3 times for a maximum of 9%. And when this effect is fully stacked, you convert 100% of this increased damage into true damage instead, with a mythic passive that grants additional ability power and Omnivamp. You should consider this on any champion that's looking to be an AP bruiser, allowing you to deal tons of damage while still taking damage in return. And the final AP mythic item is Rod of Ages, which grants ability power, health, and mana. It also has a passive where for every minute game time you gain bonus health, mana, and ability power. And upon this stacking 10 times, you're granted a level up which preserves your current experience. In addition, you have a passive where you restore mana when taking damage and restore health when spending mana. And for every 200 healing or mana restored, you gain a massive burst of movement speed, with a mythic passive that grants ability haste. Consider this if you want to scale incredibly well.